as individuals can devote the same amount of energy, time, and attention to the things that we desire to accomplish and be able to accomplish them. Please allow me, beloved brothers and sisters, to say that that goal for Christians isn't really balance. Balanced family implies that we examine all of the pieces of our lives, work, family, leisure, etc., and we allocate our resources, watch this, of time and money as each one deserves. The problem with this approach is that God gets put in the mix as just one priority among many. One thing you need to understand about your God, if you remember anything I said tonight, your God's a jealous cat. And because you serve a jealous God, you cannot, watch this, balance him or prioritize him in your life like you do your job. It's quiet in this Presbyterian church. You can't put God into your life like your job or like your family or like your children. Because whenever you try to put God on a plane where he is equal to and not superior to, then what ends up happening is that your life ends up falling out of balance because the one that created your life is in your life in the wrong position. I'm going somewhere with this tonight. So then the problem, again, with this approach is that God gets put in the mix as just one priority among many. There's my career, there's my marriage, there's my relationship with my kids, there's my recreation, and then there's God. And the truth of the matter is this. When I first started pastoring Harlene, I used to say one of the stupidest statements on the planet. And God had to rebuke me. I used to tell my church, I say, here's the problem. The problem with many of us is simply this, that church is a part of your life, but it is my life. See, church is a part of your life, but it is my life. Because I preach, I sing, I travel, I'm always in the book, I'm always on the book. So it is my life. My whole life is encompassed around me being connected to this church or some churches someplace else. So everything in my life is about God. When I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about what I'm going to preach. What I'm going to pack, because I got to preach. Where I'm going to end up tonight, because I got to preach. Even when I leave today, I'm going back to my apartment. When I get to my apartment, what's my assignment? To pack up clothes. Why? Because I got to preach on Thursday, got to preach on Friday, got to do a concert on Saturday, got to come here and preach on Sunday, got to preach someplace Sunday night. So my whole life is encompassed by church. But that's not everybody's reality. But see, the problem with that mentality, beloved brothers and sisters, is that what God is saying is that even though you have other aspects of your life, family, leisure, jobs, whatever you have, nothing should take priority over who he is in your life. And the reason why your life has no balance to it is because what God requires of each and every one of us is not that he is the head of our lives, but that he's the center. It's quiet here. I'm going to stay there. He requires that he's the center. People used to say, all the time, we used to say that years ago when they had testimony service. Thank God we don't have it no more. Praise the Lord. I can't ever help it. But when we had testimony service, people would get up and say, praise the Lord, everybody, praise the Lord. I said, praise the Lord, everybody, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, everybody, praise the Lord. First is not God, who's the head of my life? No. Because if he was really the head of your life, nothing would take priority over him. And the question that each and every one of us needs to ask tonight is, does anything in your life take priority over you? I'm going to let that simple. Well, I would be at church tonight, but, they just offered me overtime. Well, they offered me overtime. God understands. No, he doesn't. Because the reality is that if you're telling me that the God of your salvation does not supply your need to the point that you need to remove yourself from what he requires of you in order to get overtime, there's a problem. Right? God is quiet in this Episcopalian church. I can't get no help tonight. So all of us need to begin to examine that. Your life should revolve around the sun. Come on. Just like the solar system has been created. That's exactly how your life is supposed to be in connection to your God. Come on. The sun is the center. And everything revolves around the sun so that everything can get the light that it needs, the vitamin D that it needs, everything that it needs from the sun in order for us to thrive this life. Now, be honest with y'all get a little too much sun down here. There's a whole lot of God down here, a whole lot of sun down here. But here's the truth. The truth of that is your life is supposed to revolve around God in the same way. He's supposed to be the center, the focus, the primary focus of every aspect of your life. The reason why you have a job is because he gives you activity of your limbs. The reason why you have family is because he said you are supposed to, watch this, you are supposed to multiply. You are supposed to conceive. The reason why you have relationships is because he's caused you to connect with other individuals. The reason why you can go on vacation is because he created recreation. Are y'all hearing me in this place? So our careers, our marriages, our relationships with our kids, and our recreation and God should not be on the same plane. But God will not tolerate being just one of many items on your list. God is not just one of your priorities. He must be the first and only priority. Touch somebody and say, is he your first and only priority? You got to talk to him. Now, some of y'all ain't talking. I'm looking at you. I said, touch your neighbor and ask him. Say, neighbor, is he your first? And is he your only priority? So the question isn't how we balance work and family and God. The question for a Christian is how we follow Jesus Christ faithfully in every area of our life. He demands absolute obedience. Touch somebody, say absolute obedience. He demands absolute and total allegiance. Tell somebody absolute and total allegiance. And at the very beginning, we must understand that the goal is not to organize our lives so as to achieve some abstract state of balance, but that the goal is to bring every area in our life into harmony with God's will and make it a priority. My goal is not to try to figure out how I can do church and family, or how I can do football. I can get no help here. How I can do all of these things and then end up infusing God into the equation. But what my goal should be is that God, you are the center of my joy. You are the center of my universe, and I want to remain in the center of your will. So now that you are the priority, everything else I do revolves around you. Everything else I do should revolve around him. Is God first, then my job. Is God first, then my family. I can't get no help here. Is God first, then my marriage. It's God first. Because if I keep God first, he's going to make sure that every other aspect of my life is successful. Oh, it's quiet. I can't get no help here. So the goal is to bring every area of our life into harmony with God's will and to make it a priority. The goal is to follow and to obey him with every area of our lives. If we do that, then balance will take care of itself. Because God will never ask us to do more than we are able to do. Spiritually focused, successful people have time to spend with their families, time to pursue personal goals, and time to advance their careers. Spiritually focused, successful people. When I make God the priority, there's no way possible that God's going to allow me or ask me to make him the priority of my life and allow stuff in my life to fall apart.
All right.
I'm going to say that one more time. Let's get all by myself. There's no way possible that God is going to ask me to make him priority. And then after I make him priority, allow my life to fall apart and become disarrayed. There is no good thing that he will withhold from them that walk upright before him. I would that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. God is saying, if you put me in the proper place, I promise you that everything you lay your hands to is going to be successful. And see, that's why I'm challenging you all. That's why I said, y'all need to call somebody and bring the Bible class. That's why I'm challenging you. That's why I'm telling you that you don't need to miss Bible study. Why? Because it is impossible to live a successful Christian life on Sunday only. It's impossible. I don't care how old you may think you are. The truth of the matter is that it is impossible. When you don't know my spiritual walk, I know that if you only come to church once a week, you ain't that spiritual. I know you're not. You're not. Listen, if the only time you grab your Bible is when you get ready to come to church on Sunday, you're not that spiritual. You're religious.
Make a difference.
Y'all do understand there's a difference between being religious. You know what I'm saying? Religious individuals know all of the aesthetics. They know when to quicken. They know how to shout. They know when to say hikam shot. They understand all of that kind of stuff. Why? Because anytime you've been around a culture long enough, you can assimilate into that culture. Because you do understand that church is culture, right? God help me in this building.
Come on.
We have slang and everything. Prove it, Bishop. I think I will. Very simple. Praise the Lord is a slang. How can you say that? Because it's only, listen, it is a part of the culture of the church. Right. It's a slang. Let me give you another one. How you doing? I'm blessed. Go to the club. Walk in the club. And they say, what's up? And you say, I'm blessed and highly favored. They look at you like you're crazy. Why? Because you're using vernacular that's not a part of that culture. So we understand the culture of the church. We've assimilated into that culture. We recognize how that culture works. But what God is saying is that I want you to be more than just religious. I want you to be spiritual. And the way that you become spiritual is that you put me first. Tell somebody, say, put him first. Tell somebody, say, put him first. A balanced lifestyle, watch this, enables us to not only begin well, but far more importantly, to end well. God does not intend for us to be shooting stars or fireworks. You know, let's just walk around here impressing one another with the glitz and glamour. Just glitz and glamour church. Everybody just out here is, ooh, did you see Sister so-and-so shout today? She do shout, and y'all know what hell she got to go on to. Impressing one another with the aesthetic, with the outside stuff. And God said, no. I don't want you to be no shooting star Christian. I don't want you to be no fireworks Christian. As a matter of fact, the Bible says something profound in Psalm 16:11. Watch what it says. It says, you have made known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. God is saying, I'm trying to do some great things in your life. And the way they're going to happen is that you have to stay connected And now they stay connected, but keep me priority. Tell somebody, say keep me priority. So what are the things that I need to do in order to keep priority? Number one, you got to make sure that your faith is tight. Faith gives purpose to everything else in life. Without our faith, all else becomes meaningless. How do we develop our faith? We develop our faith through solitude, prayer, and study. Faith is more than just believing. Faith has to be cultivated and developed. Faith grows. But faith only grows when it's fed. Just like the spiritual life, it only grows when you're fed. And the way you feed yourself, again, is you can't just come to church on one day. You can't just spend time with God on one day. And I said it again. You show me a person that only comes to church on Sunday, I'm showing you somebody ain't that spiritual. You eat more than one day a week. You eat more than one meal a day. I'm looking at some of us. Notice I didn't say some of y'all, I'm including myself. I'm looking at some of us, and I know. I'm looking at me daily, and I'm like, yeah, you eat a little too much sometimes. But just think about if we spend as much time strategizing and coming up with recipes in order to make sure that our natural palate is happy. Think about if we spend that kind of time building our spirit man. I'm overweight. What if your spirit man is overweight? Because some of us, 250 pounds in the natural, malnutrition in the spirit. If your spirit man stood next to you and we could see it, what would it look like? Ooh, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. Look at that baby. That baby look like 8 years. Oh, that's just my spirit man. He's just hanging with me. That's all it is. You have to develop it. Watch this. You have to develop your faith through solitude, prayer, and study. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 8, it says, there was a man all alone. He was neither son nor brother. There was no end to his toil, yet his eyes were not content with his wealth. For whom am I toiling, he asked, and why am I depriving myself of enjoyment? This too is meaningless and is a miserable business. See, you need to understand, he's like, look, I'm out here doing all this stuff to get wealth. And I ain't happy on the inside because I don't have a real spiritual connection to the one that is allowing me to gain the wealth. Got to have a spiritual connection to God. And it has to be more than just lip service. You got to clarify and enhance your faith walk. Know what you believe, why you believe, and how to walk the walk and talk the talk of what you believe. You have to evaluate your lifestyle, and you have to work to see if they fit comfortably with your faith. When I do what I do in my life, everything I do, I judge it based upon what I believe. Everything I do, I judge it based on what I believe. How is this going to affect my witness? How is this going to affect my stance in the kingdom of God? Me making this decision, how is it going to make me look as it pertains to being a believer? I know it ain't sin, but it's going to cause somebody to suffer. Because all things are lawful, but everything ain't expedient. And see, that's one of the problems. See, what we tend to do with our brothers and sisters, I'm way away from where I want to be, but I'm coming back. What we tend to do is we tend to say, well, it ain't sin, but if it causes somebody to stumble, ain't that sin?
Amen.
The reality is some things that people can't handle seeing that you do.
Right.
And that's another part about being a believer that you all need to take in consideration as well. You have to learn how to guard your witness. Tell somebody say guard your witness. That's a powerful statement. I need you to say, tell somebody say guard your witness. Which simply means that you as an individual believer, you need to make sure that even though the stuff that you do may not be seen, if it's going to cause somebody to call into a sinful activity, you need to make sure they don't see you do it. Amen. It's your responsibility. Okay, let's go further. Okay, you got to clarify and enhance your walk. You got to know what you believe and why you believe. And you got to walk the walk, you got to talk the talk, you got to evaluate your lifestyle and walk to see, or work rather to see if it fits comfortably in your faith. Number two, you got to not only have a balanced faith, you got to have balanced finances. Ecclesiastes chapter number 5, verse number 18. Then I realized, watch this, that it is good and proper for a man to eat and drink and to find satisfaction in his toil, labor under the sun during the few days of his life that God has given him. For this is his lot. Moreover, when God gives any man wealth and possessions and enables him to enjoy them, to accept his lot and be happy in his work, this is a gift from God. God is saying ain't nothing wrong with you getting money. The problem is when you get money and you exclude him. One of the major things I had to learn, and be transparent, I was married for 18 years. 18 years of marriage, I didn't have a checkbook. I was actually on allowance. Now, mind you, I made all the money. Okay, y'all ain't got to say amen. I made all the money. But I was on allowance at my house. You know, my wife gave me $500 a month. $500 a month. And then after about 60 years of marriage, I got my first credit card. Didn't need no credit card. What do I need a credit card for? She was making sure I had everything I needed. If I wanted clothes, I get clothes. So, but when she got ready to go home and be with the Lord, she had to literally show me how stuff worked. Because all I did for years was open the bag, put clothes in it, close the bag, get on the plane, come home, give her the check. That was a life too. I'm telling you, that was a life. I know brother, give me no money. Listen, I lived it. I was happy. I didn't have to look at the lights, gas, the water, nothing. All I had to do was just bring home a check. And if I wanted to buy some clothes, she's like, you want somebody to get you clothes? It was heaven. But then when she went home to be with the Lord, now I'm thrust into a position that was uncomfortable. Because now I had to go get the check and budget the check. Now I had to see where all the money went. And that became stressful. It became stressful because that was an area that was uncomfortable to me. And see, what many of us fail to realize, and many of us don't take note, I was like, I didn't even know I was making this kind of money. I was tripping when I found out the kind of money I was making, because I was just coming in and just dropping the check off and going back to work. And when I started realizing the kind of money I was making, I was like, wait a minute, I got to figure this thing out. I got to budget my life out. Because this season ain't going to always be like this.
Amen.
Oh, God is quiet here. And that's one of the things that God wants us to say. It's like, I don't mind you having finances, but you got to learn how to budget it. Budget. Tell somebody, say budget. And when you start your budget, and this is one thing I teach in new members class, and I can't wait to start teaching it. The first thing you establish in budgeting is God. I'm just going to go in the same city. Statistically, watch this. Statistically, if you go to a website called Barna will tell you that only 20% of believers tithe. 20%. At Lighthouse, I had about 45 to 50% of tithes. How did you know, Marvin, that you had 45 to 50%? Because I counted them. I knew how many members we had. I know how many times. And I did the equations to know that I had 45%, 45.37% tithe. But it's important that you understand that you cannot establish a quality budget unless you make sure God is at the top of the equation. Again, a real relationship with God is that, see, he's jealous. I'm going to say again, he's a jealous God. I mean, he's real jealous. And that's why some of y'all got holes in your pockets. God knows my heart. Yep, he does. He knows to make a conscious decision not to make him the center of your relationship and the center of your responsibility as it pertains to your relationship with him. And since he knows that, and since now you've made a conscious decision to put everything above your relationship with him, he's saying, okay, I'm going to keep you in struggle mode. I had to learn it. I was a preacher at one time. I can't get no help with that. He said, confession is good for the soul. I told y'all Sunday you're supposed to confess your sins one to another. I'm confessing. I was preaching and wasn't tithing. Because giving God a tithe this week and not giving him a tithe next week when you done made money, you're not a tither. A tither is a perpetual state. Tither. Just like liar. There's a difference between a lie and a liar. A liar is a perpetual state. A tithe and a tither is two totally different things. God is quiet in this Episcopalian church.
Yes, sir.
So you got to make sure that you make God priority in your budget. Just what I say, priority in your budget. Not only that, you got to always live on less than you take in. Write it down. Keep a record. Prioritize. How you do it? Tithe, payment, saving, grocery, recreation, miscellaneous. I'm talking about practical balance stuff. You know, some of us don't get that. See, we think that Bible study is always about spiritual, but it's got to be about practical and spiritual because they go together. So you got to make sure there's certain things that you can maintain in your life. God wants you to have a vacation. And I ain't talking about, I see it. I'm the pastor. Just so I make sure, our ladies help me on the pastor. If I'm pastor, that's okay, fine. That's all I need. I got to go button for the first lady. And that don't mean that conviction. That's not vacation. It's quiet. I'm going to conviction this year. That's not a vacation. That's church. It's church. You need to have some recreation outside of church. You know, God created fun. Let that simmer. He created fun. He wants you to have it. It's all right to go to Six Flags. The devil is all in them roller coasters. No! He's not. Have fun. He wants you to be able to enjoy the fruit of your labor. Amen. I can't get no help here. You're supposed to plan for the future and have long-range plans for continued education and learning. You're supposed to set aside time for seminars and workshops, discussion groups and degree programs and book programs and other programs, anything else, not just church. God wants you to live a full life. God, I'm way over time. Touch what I say, a full life. Do you have career goals that span over 5 or 10 year period? You're supposed to aim for them. I write out everything. The Bible says write the vision, lay on tablets, and those that read may run with it. I teach this. I believe this, man of God. You cannot run with that which you have not read. And you cannot read that which you have not written. All of us, from 2 to 92, should have a vision for the next 5 years. All of us. Tell me when you're going to be. How old are you? You're 87. I need to know where you're going to be in 92. Write it out. This is my plan for my life. This is what I'm believing for. This is where I'm planning on being when I'm 92 years of age. That's not crazy. You're still breathing. And as long as you're still breathing, you're still growing. I'm going to try to get this. And if you don't write out your vision for your life, you're not going to have a balance. So touch your neighbor, say homework. Tell somebody, say homework. This week, you need to write out your vision for the next 5 years. Write it out. When Melinda was alive, we used to sit down, we used to do this vision forecast all the time. I love it. It's the best thing we used to do. Sit down, matter of fact, when I was packing up some stuff, I found some stuff that we did in the 90s. And I started reading through it. Pastor Angel, I started reading through it, and I started seeing all the stuff that I said that we were going to do. We did it. We did it. I was like, this is my goal. I said school, and we did school. I said church, we did church. I said all these different things. I just started writing stuff out. And it was from the 90s when we were dating. I was 22. And I found it, and I was blown away. But you know what that did? Did nothing but spark something on the inside of me. Because what it made me do is it made me reconsider, rethink. I could back out and say, wait a minute. I wrote this stuff out back then. It didn't came to pass. Wait a minute. I got to start writing out some new stuff. I'm still here. And some of you all need to do the same thing. Your life hasn't stopped. You got to write that vision. You got to make it plain so that when you read it, you can run with it. When you read it, you can run with what you wrote. That should be your driving force. That should be the thing that pushes you beyond measure. God did not create us to work for the sake of work, but he created us to produce and to be challenged. The reason why I'm here is because I'm supposed to have an impact upon this world. I'm supposed to leave an impact on this world. When I take my last breath, one of the greatest statements I ever heard was at Bishop William C. Adams' funeral, and his grandson, Jathan Kyle Austin, who pastors this church now, said these words about his grandfather. He said his grandfather died empty. That's a tweetable moment right there. He said his grandfather died empty, meaning that his grandfather died with no regrets, and he died doing everything that was in him to do. And he left impact. Every last individual believer ought to have that same mentality. Your mentality ought to be, when I leave this earth, what are they going to say about me? What am I going to leave as an impactful monument of my life and my existence?
Awesome.
The third thing that we need to work on, and I'm going to close on this because I'm well over time. The first thing I told you is faith. The second thing I told you was finances. Lastly, fitness. It's wide up in here. The goal of God in our lives is that we should serve, we should bear fruit, we should provide for our families, we should enjoy life. And the only way we can do that is we have to have good health. How do we have good health? We develop it through proper and consistent good nutrition, exercise, and rest. When I was typing this out, God was over my butt the whole time. I'm telling y'all, he was beating me up this whole time. I was like, come on, God, don't do this to me. Many of our mood swings, beloved brothers and sisters, irritable depression, etc. The inability to think and to make quality decisions, lack of stamina, both physically and emotionally, children's behavior problems, etc. They're all the result of bad diet and lack of exercise. Diet requires balance. Carbohydrates, proteins, good fats. Get these from fresh foods and not processed food. I was 310 pounds about a year ago. Still on the scale. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? But I realized that the reason why I was heavy as I was because of the simple fact that I had children at the house and I could not cook. So because I couldn't cook, we always went through drive-thru. But their metabolism could break it down. They can eat a Whopper with cheese with bacon on it, Marvin can eat it and go, woo, Marvin just thin as a ring. Because of the metabolism. I get the Whopper. It made me the Whopper. I can't get no help by myself. So when I decided that it was time for me to take control of my physical health, because my doctor said something that blew my mind. He said to me, he said, Marvin, you don't take any medications for anything. I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have diabetes. I don't have hypertension. I don't have nothing. I don't take no meds. I'm 52 years old. I'm like, this is great. He said, you have to be the healthiest overweight man I've ever met in my life. Broke my heart. Just messed me up. I said, what you say, Dr. He said, you have to be the healthiest overweight man I've ever met in my life. But that don't mean that you don't have triggers that can change your life. So he said to me, he said, Marvin, you need to change your diet. So you know what I did? I changed my diet. I started Googling how to cook. You know how to cook. I'm telling you, when I say I didn't know, I did not cook. But I knew what I wanted to eat. So you know, I said, let's see, how can I make this thing? I want some greens, some collard greens. But you know, I don't want to boil them in water. So I Googled how to make them, you know, Southern style. And got me some organic chicken. Cut the greens up, put it in there, start cooking it, put a little garlic in it, a little red pepper, you know, some onions, you know. Didn't want to do bacon, did turkey. Try to make it real healthy. And start working, start dropping weight. What I did, I disciplined myself. And I challenged myself in an area that I was uncomfortable in. And because I disciplined myself and challenged myself in an area that I was uncomfortable in, I began to grow and understand the things that I needed to do in order to change my physical form. So where I was 310, now I'm 270. Because I ain't where I'm supposed to be yet. I have another 20 pounds to get to. What are you trying to say? The discipline and the change was uncomfortable, but I did it for the betterment of Marvin Sapp. So it is in the natural, so it is in the spiritual. As individual believers, once we put God first, that means that there's certain things we have to do in order to challenge ourselves so that we can change. From the inside out. But the same thing goes on. Even some of the stuff we eat just ain't good for us. Doctor tell you, how you know you ain't supposed to be eating the pig feet. The pig feet ain't good for you. Yeah, but what I do is I take an aspirin before I eat it. I pour some vinegar over the pig feet because it cuts the fat. How do you know all these things, Bishop? Because I'm telling you, I was a pro at it. Pop that aspirin, make sure that blood pressure don't go up. Do what I need to do to get that. This thing food is good. I'm put some barbecue sauce on. But I had to change. I had to literally change that aspect of who I was. I had to start eating more healthy. Why? Because I can't be, watch this, an effective believer the way God has called me to be, and I don't have control over my physical flesh. There's a war going on the inside. I will do good, but Whataburger showed up today. Evil is always present. So we have to make sure, beloved brothers and sisters, that we create balance in every aspect of our lives. I promise you I'm closing. We have to create balance in every aspect of our lives. Every aspect of our lives. Every aspect of our lives. But the way we do it is we make sure we put God first. Because I promise you, if you put God first, He's not going to let anything else in your life like. I'm putting God first. Change my diet because I know I got to be around for my children. I'm going to put God first, and I'm going to change my diet because I know that I can't be an effective witness if I can't at least breathe properly. I know God is a healer. I know God is a healer, but you ain't doing nothing the doctor tells you to do. He's going to heal you while you're doing the stuff that maybe, quite possibly, the information that the doctor is giving you is the process of your healing. they say you need to take one of these a day. You know, your blood pressure. You got to take the water. I'm just leaving out for my healing. And your blood pressure through the roof. No, take the pill. That's your healing. Until it changes. I can't get no help about myself. This is practical. This is practical, teacher. It's practical. Take it until it gets better. I'm going to prove it to you, and I'm closing on this. When I was 19 years of age, I was diagnosed as an epileptic. I know why I was diagnosed as an epileptic. It's because, you know, everybody don't have the same testimony about, you know, being saved. Some of y'all been in church all your life. And then some of us, we were in church, but the church wasn't in us. Right. And because I was gifted, because I was talented, you know, they had me singing and stuff, but they really didn't know that I was out there snorting cocaine and drinking and partying and doing all the stuff I was doing. Many Sundays I would come to church, you know, just having a joint. I know y'all don't know about that. Y'all say it. Did I say joint? Yeah, I said joint. Yeah. Old school joint, yeah. So when I got baptized in that July at Bethel, I got filled with the Holy Ghost before I went to the water. I stopped doing all the things I was doing. But just because I stopped doing all the things I was doing, my physical body still desired. I walked away from it, but my physical body still desired, you know, the things that I was doing. So I started having what they call grand mal seizures. I don't know if you all know what grand mal seizures when you pass out, you know, going to convulsions. And during that season that I was having these grand mal seizures, I couldn't drive a car, I couldn't work a job, I couldn't do anything. And then I knew that it was a result of my drug use. Even though I didn't share that with everybody, I knew it was a result of my drug use. And I was like, you know, I'm not taking these pills. My God's a healer. Stop taking pills because they have me on like 900 milligrams a day of Dilatate. I mean, I was messed up. And I was like, I'm going to take these pills. I'm going to take these pills. God's a healer. I stopped taking pills, and then all of a sudden I had a bad seizure. And my mother, you know, she ain't that saved. I don't know if I can say it like that. But she ain't that saved. She cussed me out, got my pills. Oh, she cussed me out. So she straight up. She didn't know, you mother father, I can't get help here. She used to count my pills, and she would put the mirror under my nose at night to make sure that I was breathing. Am I telling the truth down here? I'm telling the truth. She would do that. And my mother had to tell me. She said, Marvin, the pills are your healing until the healer comes through. Don't put me through all of this. The next time you pass out, I'm going to take your butt to the hospital and I ain't coming back to get you. I was 19 years of age. So what ended up happening is I began to believe God for my healing, but during the process, I began to wean myself off of pills. It took about a year. And when I stopped taking them, I was like, Lord, just don't let me have the symptoms. So don't let it happen to me anymore. Well, I'm 52 years of age, and I haven't had a seizure in 30 years. Sometimes healing is a process. It doesn't happen immediately. But we still have to trust God, even though healing may be a process, to be a healer. You see? I know He is. But that's where balance comes in. Because sometimes we can be so heavily minded and spiritually thought-involved, or thought-focused, that we miss the whole concept and aspect that our God is still practical. And that He uses individuals sometimes in order to bring about change in our lives. Medications, things of that nature. I'm going to teach practical stuff. It's good. It's really practical. I think many times we think many times we miss the miracle in our lives because we always think that the miracle is supposed to be something spectacular so that we can have a crazy witness. I got to testify. I got to testify. I got to tell what the Lord has done for me. Got to make it big when the truth of the matter is it wasn't that big. It wasn't like you're telling me. You're lying. The Lord woke me up early this morning, about 5 a.m. And I tell you, when he woke me up, I felt his presence all in the bedroom. He told me he was going to do something marvelous. And all of a sudden, I got up, I walked out the bedroom, and I felt his presence again, just pushing me from my back, telling me to go a little bit farther. What did that happen? You got up, you just got up, and you got dressed. And for some strange reason, God allows you to run into your breakthrough. But you gotta describe it something bigger than what it is. Sometimes God just wants you to be honest about what he's done in your life. Because your honesty is what's going to help somebody in their now and in their future. I'm finished. Let's pray. Father, I thank you. I give you praise. I honor you for this moment. I thank you for this time. I thank you for these people. God, forgive me for being 5 minutes over. God, I pray even now that as we prepare to leave this place without your presence, that you will go with us and take care of us. We honor you and give you praise, honor, and glory. Thank you for practical teaching. Thank you, Lord God, for giving us the tools that are necessary in order to create balance in our lives. But understanding that with this balance also must be you as priority. Because if you are not priority, everything in our life is going to become unbalanced. I thank you and I give you praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.